Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Blood, Sweat, and Tears presented by the Fantasy Holics Podcast Network. Mr. Oviedo, with us as always is Zach Rom and Brian Brunner. Got a good show coming your way tonight. We're going to be breaking down this year's rookies, the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to get you set for the Week 7 Bimageddon. I've already chalked up a couple losses this week. I have an entire, like half of a team on a bye, so just gonna be able to watch football Sunday without a care in the world. Gentlemen, what's your Week 7 looking like?
Well, there's something magical to just watching your games and not caring when you have half your team on bye because you know you're probably going to lose. It's a little less stressful, and to some extent, it's nice to get all of your top players' buys out of the way. I have a lot of Genty shares, Gibbs shares, and Kyron Williams shares, so I'm just kind of like grasping at running backs right now. But yeah, it's
you can't get hurt if you're on bye. So
yeah. You go from 2 teams on bye to 6. It's a little rough,
and it's a double-edged sword. Just your opponents have a bunch of people on bye too, so don't just throw in the towel. Check it out. As I was going through my ridiculous amount of leagues, putting in waivers and doing my usual Tuesday shit where I reset the lineups and get the bye week guys out and put the Derrick Henrys and Josh Allens back in the lineup that were on bye. I'm not as fucked as I thought I'd be in some leagues. I only have maybe 1 or 2 that are just completely fucked. I have a team that has so many Lions on it, I call it the Detroit Bryans, and that team's pretty fucked because it's got Goff, Amon-Ra, and Gibbs on it. So,
oof.
Yeah, and it's a super flex, so we'll see. But I didn't even look at the opponent yet. But I mean, who knows? There's 6 teams on bye, so you could be just as fucked as me. So. Set your lineups, get your waivers in. There's in redraft leagues or shallow or dynasty leagues, there's some randos out there you might be able to plug and flex in a pinch this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, crazy to see.
Team could be down Mike Evans. It could be down Puka. They could be down. The injuries starting to pile up. Injuries, buys. It could be a really ugly week.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Mike Evans out, collarbone. There's a chance he comes back late in the season, but his 1,000-yard streak is up, which is just the way he landed. As soon as he landed, I was just like, I just winced. I was like, that's not good.
That's the biggest shame of it all is that he's not going to get to break Jerry Rice's record.
Yeah,
they will be forever tied, and I don't think anyone will ever sniff that.
Hard to think, yeah.
Yeah, they both did it for what, 10 consecutive? Is that what it is? At this point, this would have been his 11th.
Absolutely amazing to see. He just barely got it last year. You're really rooting for him, and then you hate to see these type of injuries pile up.
Yep. But Healy's got there. He tied with Rice, and it's one of those Cal Ripken style records. It's just nobody's gonna do it. Today's day and age, people get hurt too much. People take rest weeks and shit like that. So
yeah,
could be the end of Big Mike. We'll see.
Yeah. Other interesting injuries. Just kind of doing a little bit of an injury report before we dive into things. Kendre Miller out for the year with a torn ACL. We're looking at hopefully Lamar Jackson is back this week. I believe reports where he did not practice yesterday, but with the bye week and that time to rest, hoping to come back this week. Puka Nacua more than likely not this week, but next week coming back for injuries. So that's another thing to toss into your they're on bye, so that's Brock Bowers again bye week going into hopefully week 9 return. Brock Purdy possibly sitting this week again, re-aggravating his injury. Ricky Pearsall potentially back this week. He's missed 3, so he's not, but he wasn't on IR. Similar situation with Bucky Irving. So a lot of interesting and high value targets that are still out on injury, making this Bimageddon even worse potentially for certain teams.
Yeah, it sounds like the optimistic for Puka to come back after the bye. I know Lamar did not practice today, but I mean it's a Tuesday practice, so that's never that big of a deal. So yeah, we're hopefully get some of these guys back.
Practice. We talking about practice.
Practice. Lamar don't need no fucking practice.
No. He just needs to build a run.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. Let's see. Another Calvin Ridley is out for a couple weeks, but I think even in redraft, I think we're saying that he's droppable at this point. So, Jackson Dart limping a little. Is that a concern?
I didn't hear any news that he's in danger of missing. Back at my Philadelphia Eagles for their next game here, they should have Jalen Carter back, which they didn't for that first Giants matchup. That should make things a little more difficult for the Giants. I mean, they had pretty easy time of it last Eagles game, so I think the Eagles will be a little bit pissed off. It was nice to see the Birds passing game come to life this past game. My boy, great. I should have worn one of my Devontae Smith shirts because my boy went fucking hamburgers.
Amazing. And
AJ too. AJ had fucking $120 and 2 touchdowns. So yeah, I mean that was amazing what can happen when you fucking air the ball out to 2, fantastic wide receivers instead of just running short little slants and running Saquon into a wall every play. But
yeah, who would have known?
We'll save that for the Eagles podcast.
Yeah. So this week, we just finished week 7, so we're halfway through our fantasy regular season in most leagues. Most leagues should be going through week 14 for your regular season because that's when buys end. Buys finish week 14, diving into playoffs week 15. Halfway through, figured this would be a very good week to dive into a rookie update. See how our offensive rookie players are kind of doing and give you our thoughts for either maybe you want to buy one to finish off this redraft season, or if there are some rookies you should be really into buying for the sake of dynasty purposes. Yeah. Any thoughts before we dive into them?
No, it's always fun to take a look at what the rookies have done by this point. All the takes we had on them. Were they right? Were they wrong? Did you overdraft them? Did you get them as a steal in your draft? It's always fun to look back and plenty to talk about with this gang.
Yeah.
I was always the rookie whisperer, like, oh yeah, rookies are awesome. They're fresh, they're young, they're hungry, they're Marvin Harrison Jr. broke me last year. I'm like, man, I've got to pump the brakes on rookies. I can't put that much weight into them. They do have to learn the speed of the NFL. They have to pick up and learn playbooks and plays. And I think we were spoiled with the Justin Jeffersons and Jamar Chases and Malik Neighbors of the world. Not everyone is that great, and I myself need to slow my roll on some rookies.
Yeah. I mean, for Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm buying him now because I think there's a lot to be said about his quarterback play and his offensive coordinator. I mean, we talked about it in the offseason. Last year, all they said was just go. Like that's you're not going to succeed. So I think there's a little there, but yeah, like he's been a disappointment as opposed to who's being drafted as like a top 5 dynasty wide receiver come last year. So it's definitely something to put some realistic expectations on. And we tend to put a little too much on them for sure.
It probably doesn't look good when Jacoby Brissett just walks in and looks great after 2 games, and Kyler Murray might be sweating a little.
Yeah. Didn't we talk about him potentially leaving Arizona if things started to look bad and Marvin Harrison Jr.? Like, I think we talked about that some in the offseason, and that's looking like a potential.
I mean, I just don't see, with the results they're getting from Kyler and their head coach, how they could just finish out of the playoff run, well out of the playoff run again this year and just go, okay, let's do that again. Because, That ain't going to happen. They'll move on. There's just no. I mean, who knows? They're a pretty shittily run franchise. Maybe they do re-roll it, but we'll see.
Maybe they'll wear those tortilla uniforms more.
Yes, the ones with the fucking black mold on them.
Ugh. Yeah. Okay. So we'll dive into our rookie running backs first. Taking a look at what they are. Now, as a note, this is not our rankings of them, but rather this is their current rankings based upon their half PPR scoring at this point in time. So to everyone's surprise, I think Cam Scatterbo leading the way in scoring is a shocker. Corey Krosky-Merritt, again, came out of nowhere kind of in this offseason. Is fourth. Amarian Hampton being on IR for 2 or 3 weeks now is still the fifth highest scoring running back. And there seems to be a drop off after there where Woody Marks is coming in. Great buy for the rest of the season. RJ Harvey and Travion Henderson just aren't getting the work we were expecting. Judkins missed a game or two, I believe.
He missed 2.
Yeah.
1, 2.
But he's up there and he's looking amazing. Kind of, what are our thoughts so far on how this hyped up to be an amazing rookie running back class has turned out so far?
Scatterbo's definitely quite the pleasant surprise. He was taken mid to late second in most Superflex rookie drafts and Dynasty, so he's been a great surprise. I don't have him in any of my redraft leagues, but I'm trying to remember how late he went. I mean, he was a very late pick in redraft, so he's some free money there. So yeah, he's been a great story. Genty, I mentioned it going into the season. We might be expecting similar to what Bijan did his rookie year, and it's been, he had that one smash game. I think it was against the shitty Bears, was it?
Something like
they're
that, yeah.
letting everybody score a ton of points.
Yeah.
After that, he's been, pretty mid. I mean, I think he had like 12 points the next week. I don't think he did fucking anything in this Chiefs game. They got destroyed.
No.
So yeah, let me check on what his points per game ain't looking that great for the first round draft capital spent on him, for the first overall pick you spent on him in your dynasty league drafts. He definitely hasn't paid that off yet. I don't want to put him into like the bust or like worry category, because he is an amazing talent. He's going to get almost all the work. They'll play some shitty defenses here and there, so I'm not too worried on Genty. But you can't not feel semi disappointed about what you've gotten from him so far.
I think there's a stat that came out. It was before the Bears game, at the very least, that Genty on an average rush was being first hit behind the line of scrimmage. Like, his offensive line was so bad that he on average was being hit behind the line of scrimmage. So I wonder if the Raiders realize, wow, our offensive line is absolutely atrocious. It's Swiss cheese, has so many holes in it, that let's spend our first round pick next year in some offseason, make some trades and sign some offensive linemen. Because if you're going to draft Genty top 10, you need to give him a chance to succeed, and he can't be being hit behind the line of scrimmage. Like, that's just not something that you can do. That part of me is like, this is a miracle he's still second for points scored, just because of that.
Genty and Chase Brown are getting hit before the line of scrimmage, like on every snap, and the Raiders are just going to Raider. They can't get out of their own way. Geno Smith has been awful.
Dude.
Just awful. No one's there. The defense is looking at Geno Smith like, really? We're going to worry about you? No. They have no one to worry about except blowing up Genty, and I don't know if it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
Not this year.
You just checked on Genty's numbers here in a regular. This isn't a full PPR league. No rushing bonuses or anything, so just vanilla PPR. After last week's pretty much dud performance, Genty's now back to running back 16 on the year on average, with 13.7 points per game. just behind Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren. Pretty sure he got drafted slightly higher than those guys in your redraft leagues this year. But yep, so that's what we're getting from Ash and Genty right now.
Yeah, that's you're hoping that you didn't draft him in redraft right now.
Yep. Judkins has been awesome, even on a pretty, lame Browns offense. I don't think any defenses are going, oh shit, we got to worry about shutting down Dylan Gabriel and these 4-yard slants to Harold Fannin. Judkins is just getting it done. 3 touchdowns last week. He's just scoring every week. Talk about points per game.
He's up
Judkins there. Let's see, he's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he got screwed by maybe he did play a snap or two in a game and then didn't get anything.
He missed week 1 and played about 27% of snaps in week 2, but week 2 he still scored a healthy chunk of points. So I think he's probably up there.
He's only shown his 13.1 points a game in full PPR, but yeah, no snaps in week 1. I think Sleeper might even factor week 1 into the average, even though he didn't take a snap. I think he may have dressed like that. But yeah, I mean his point totals, his first game, 10 points, and then 16, 21, 13. He did have a dud 3.6 points 2 weeks ago, but then boom, back up to 26 last week. So he's been awesome. I mean, I don't think anybody has anything bad to say about him. I didn't want to call him a buy because anybody that has him is thrilled and probably not looking to sell him. But yeah, he's been one of the biggest success stories from this group for sure.
Especially since so many people were trying to sell cheap in the offseason due to the legal problems. If you were able to, someone in your league was selling them cheap because of that, you're loving the return on investment here.
Yeah. Judkins is per pro.nfl.com is facing a stacked box 46.8% of the time. Second highest in the NFL. He's facing a ton of stacked 8 men in the box, and he's still performing to this level. If the Browns offense was just any better to take some attention off of him, could be even better than what he has been, and he's been awesome. He's fun to watch. He runs pissed. He is cut out for the AFC North for sure.
Do you think that means you'll start hearing Shadur Sanders chants soon if Dylan Gabriel isn't going to pull it off? I don't think it's going to work out for Sanders, but it's an interesting question if Gabriel doesn't work off after trading Flacco, if that's going to happen, especially with Judkins looking the way he is.
You'd assume that they would give Sanders at least a start or two at some point this year. They seem to be playing pretty well with Gabriel, though. So at the end of the day, they gave Gabriel higher capital. He's seems to have put a little bit of a spark into the team. They've always had the good defense, but it seems like the defense is really, really tightening up and winning them some games. So we'll see. I mean, Sanders just seems like a douche. Like when they announced that Gabriel was starting, he did a whole interview as a mime. Like he was miming his answers. Like, just fucking, you're an NFL quarterback. Like, fucking do a press conference. Be like, yeah, I'm happy for my teammate. I'm here to support him. Blah blah blah. If they need me, I'm ready to go too. Just generic. I mean, I'm not even the fucking NFL, but I know what to say in that scenario.
Yeah,
he's just a douchebag. Like he's an entitled prick. And whatever. He's talented enough. Mel Kiper lost his fucking mind at the draft over it. Whatever. I assume he'll get a start. I mean, I guess most likely way that happens is Dylan Gabriel has a real shitty game and just looks like a rookie, and they say fuck it. Sanders get in there next week, and we'll see. But we digress. We're talking about running backs.
Yeah, true.
Bill Krosky Merritt, man, more hype than production at this point. He's like a mythical creature in the fantasy world, but he really hasn't been producing a ton fantasy wise.
He's been hit or miss. He's either doing a ton or doing not a lot, and that's kind of the story of the Commanders so far this year is either they're really good or they're not doing so much. And part of that might be the Jaden Daniels injuries and such. But yeah, I mean, Bill's doing he's a couple massive games and a couple duds, I think.
I mean, not even massive. He has one huge game in week 5 against the Chargers.
Oh.
He had a 27-point game. Week 1, he had 14, and let's face it, not even a lot of people started him week 1 because they weren't, Eckler was still there. We weren't really 100% sure how much work he was going to get.
Yep.
He got you 1 point the next week, got you 10 the following week, 7. Then he had his boom game, so now everybody's trading for him and starting him or, paying up to get him in deals. And then since that 27-point game, he got you 5.8 and 4.2. So, yeah, like I said, it seems to be more hype than production at this point. He only got, I'm looking at this, dude. He got 49% of the snaps in the last game. So that ain't good.
It's a weak Dallas defense, too.
You're right.
I want to know, what did Washington see in this guy to, trade Brian Robinson Jr.? And Brian Robinson Jr., he's not Clinton Portis. He's not great. But Merritt's coming into the game like third after Chris Rodriguez and McNichols. And I had Merritt sixth, and I thought he was going to run all over Dallas.
Yeah.
He did diddly poo. I'm like, I have no idea what they see in this. It was a 7th round pick. I listened to other people that know better than me. I'm like, okay, I'll buy into the hype. I don't think Merritt's anything special at all. I don't get it. I gotta cash out. I'm not playing this game anymore.
Part of me wonders if the offseason hype for Merritt when Robinson Jr. got traded was more fantasy related than actually like the Commanders coming out and saying this guy's our starting running back. It could just be they liked McNichols and they liked Rodriguez and they liked the 4 other running backs that they had that, hey, this one we can trade Brian Robinson Jr. for some draft capital still. He's on his rookie deal. We'll get him out of here. We like these 4 others we have. But the dynasty community and fantasy community was like, Corey Kresge Merritt, he's going to be the guy now. And I wonder how much it was more our own hype than the Commanders saying that. And that's why there's more of a split backfield than many of us would have hoped for him.
Yeah, for sure. We overhype any little bit of news that makes us think we're getting a new star running back. We go crazy for. So guilty as charged. Omarion Hampton, man, slow start, started feeling like a bust. Najee gets hurt. He starts smashing for a couple weeks, and then boom, I forget, was it a high ankle sprain or was it something else with him? Was it a hamstring? I don't know.
Let me look.
IR. So, minimum 4 weeks, and they're saying he's probably going to be longer than the 4 weeks.
Yeah. No, he started looking great after Najee went out and down. And yeah, he was putting together a great string of a couple games. He had 2 20-point games, and he already was having 10 points in the game he was injured before going out. He had a slow start, but that's kind of what you expect when you have a good vet running back with a rookie running back coming in. The vet's going to take the snaps. A lot of the snaps the first few weeks are those important ones. But yeah, Hampton, if you can buy Hampton in any dynasty league right now, he could end up topping this list depending on how things go. The Chargers offense looks so amazing that whenever he gets back, he's immediately in the running back 1 conversation, or a top running back 1 for your roster conversation.
Yep.
And that offensive line's only going to get better because they lost Slater and Joe Alt. I think Joe Alt's still out. So that line should get even better next year to help that run game be even better.
No doubt. If he doesn't get hurt there, he's probably, 1 or 2 on this list as far as like points scored on the season. So I don't think anybody has any doubt with Hampton. definitely worth poking around to try to buy in Dynasty. I mean, even in redraft leagues, if you could get him for like a late season push. We still don't have too much clarity on how long he's out for, but it's definitely not a season-ending injury, so he will be back at some point. Like Patrick said, we're talking he'll be back with a better offensive line as well. But yeah, long term, he's super bright future. I can see, especially if he comes back and flashes at the end of the season here, he'll be getting talked about as like a 1-2 turn pick or like a high second round pick probably next year.
Oh, yeah.
I could easily see that happening.
And he has such an easy schedule coming up too, that for the season that he is going. If he coming back, the Chargers have a bye, and I think it's week 12 that he could come back for a playoff push in your playoff run. That would be amazing if you could manage that for your teams. And it was an ankle injury, so I mean, IR ankle injury. I mean, it's week 8. Another 4 weeks. That could happen. 3 more games for the Chargers before he comes back in week 13.
Chargers get the Cowboys week 16. Oh man, if you could somehow get Hampton, oh man, you can start cashing that your league winnings right now.
Yep.
So Woody Marks, man, guy that I brought up as a good buy last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I think it was last. Came out, had 17, 18 points again on Monday night, caught a touchdown, had good amount of the snaps. So I think his future's bright. He's super late pick. Him and Merritt are the 2 guys on this list that were, 4th round rookie picks or even maybe undrafted free agents in dynasty leagues. So they really are, both of those 2 have really gotten you, some free money for sure. Who knows what happens? I don't think Nick Chubb is anything long-term there. He's already performing better than Chubb for this year. We'll see what happens. He was the day 3 pick, but as I'm sure we've brought up before, the Texans sold a future 3rd to move up and grab him where they grabbed him. So they, for all intents and purposes, they spent day 3 capital or day 2 capital on him. Sorry. So yeah, I like Marks. I like his outlook. For most people, a lot of casuals could care less about Woody Marks. I mean, I do still think he's probably a good trade target. And he's got amazing pass catching chops. The dude has the craziest college stat line for receptions you'll ever see from a running back. So I had nothing but positive thoughts about Marks, and he still probably isn't that expensive.
Yeah, that's a very great point. I think Mixon's not long for this world with his injury. That Marks is, even if you can pay up a little, quote unquote, for his value right now, it could go up a lot come rest of the season, off season. It definitely could be worth it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, has anybody done a wellness check on Joe Mixon? I haven't heard a peep about Mixon. I guess he's gonna miss the whole year. Maybe he may not come back from like it seems like.
There really has been like nothing. I think one of the pods I listened to brought up maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, the GM or coach just like vaguely kind of dismissed the thought of Mixon coming back. Like he had some kind of comment about like, yeah, we appreciate everything Joe's done for the organization type of thing, as if like, they already knew that he wasn't coming back. That wasn't any like official thing, but odds are, any little bit that you can find searching online about Mixon says that they think he's not playing this year.
Yeah, I can see that. It's unfortunate. You hate to see a player like that end on such an injury. You want to see players go out strong, never end on just injured and then fade into nothing.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see. I mean, obviously there'll be some news about Mixon at some point. He's older, but he's not old enough that if he is healed up by the offseason, some team will give him a contract. I don't think this is like career-ending stuff for Joe Mixon. But either way, for the rest of the year, wheels up for Woody Marks. It's just really just him and Chubb there, and Chubb looks slow in his age, so looking good for Woody. Got R.J. Harvey, a guy that I have a lot of shares of. I was kind of doing some inventory, even in my couple redraft leagues and my million dynasty leagues, I have quite a lot of RJ Harvey, and it's definitely been disappointing. Luckily, in the dynasty leagues I have him in, not one of them was I expecting him to be like my RB1 or 2 or even flex. I thought I'd be getting more than this out of him, especially this far into the year. I thought, he'd probably have taken over or Dobbins would have gotten hurt by now, but either way, he is more or less just a handcuff to Dobbins at this point. He does get some run every week. Like, I think if you look at his game log, he's got 2 weeks with a touchdown, so he was like double digits those weeks. But then all the other weeks, he's like locked into like 7 points. Like, he doesn't get much run, but he gets 3 or 4 catches for 20 yards, 17 yards, or something along those lines. So he's not been just a complete zero, like fucking Travion Henderson has been. Jesus Christ. But, Harvey's a dude that I definitely still want all the shares of in Dynasty. He could still end up being a huge, huge asset in the back half of this year. Dobbins starts slowing down. Dobbins gets hurt. He becomes like the primary guy there. Still have a lot of hope for Harvey. I don't think the little bit of play we've seen from him, he doesn't look bad or slow or anything like that. He's just not getting enough opportunity to really produce for you. So I still like Harvey. I'm not upset about the shares I have of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dobbins is playing great. Dobbins has never, ever been like a pass catching back, and I think that's the role Harvey's in. And targets are important. I hope Harvey has a big game versus the Cowboys, or he better not. He better not Jacory me this week. Man.
Yeah. I mean, when you saw the Broncos pass on Omarion Hampton in the first round, you're like, okay, they have their eye on some running back that they are ecstatic to get, and then they draft RJ Harvey, and everyone's like, okay, this is their guy. And then they sign J.K. Dobbins. You're like, J.K. Dobbins is never healthy. By week 4, he's going to be on IR, and then week 5 hits 6, and RJ Harvey isn't doing much in Dobbins, and it's. I mean, there's still plenty of hope.
Williams looks awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another dagger for the Broncos. Is Javonte Williams looks amazing there, and you have a little regression from Bo Nix. You have Dobbins doing great. Like, what really question is that there's a lot of upside potential for Harvey, but that's still just potential right now. Like, of opportunity share. He's not startable unless you're in Bimageddon hell right now, which I'm sure many of us are.
I definitely had to slide Harvey into a couple of lineups early here. I mean, I've got some waiver claims in dynasty leagues. Obviously, there's not much floating around on the waivers usually, so I'm sure Harvey will start in a few of my teams for the Bipocalypse here. But like I said, man, I don't have really anything, no negative vibes about Harvey. Even just looking long term, they drafted day 2 capital. He's going to be there. He'll get better. They'll work him in more. Sean Payton will break him in the way he wants and start using him. And yeah, I agree that Bo Nix was regressing all the way up until that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude! I think in regular scoring, like even like 4-point passing scoring, Bo Nix ended up with like a 37-point fantasy game.
Huge.
In any leagues, I have him in a league that has like a small rushing bonus, and I think it's 6 point. He got me like 44 fantasy points in one league, and I mean it was all fourth quarter. They had nothing going into that. It was just, man, fucking the Giant. That was one of the craziest collapses of all time. Well,
yeah,
I heard the stat on it. It had never happened. It was like 300 something times a team has been up 18 with 6 minutes left. They've never lost. It's unheard of. And the fucking place kicker missed 2 extra points. I didn't know that. I wasn't watching the game. I was just watching Red Zone all day.
Yeah.
The place kicker mixed 2 fucking extra points, or they didn't win. Oh my god, crazy shit, man.
Yeah, that was doing the studs and duds article yesterday. I was like, okay, a dud, Bo Nix, 1st through 3rd quarter. A stud, 4th quarter, Bo Nix. Like, I had to separate them out because of just how horrible he was to start and how amazing he was. But Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix is sneakily in the top 10 quarterback scoring this year. And I think, yeah, Harvey's yet to come, but I do have a lot of hopes for him. And I got him in many leagues too, especially like your later rookie drafts that started after J.K. Dobbins signed. He was falling to the mid to late second range, and I got a lot of them there.
Yeah, man. So
Only slight red flag. Harvey is old. He will be 25 in February.
Yeah.
He's on the upper edge. I guess the only slight pause there, if you're someone that panics on age in dynasty leagues, might want to.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly matters that he's that much older. But my motto for for running backs, and especially in dynasty, man, 6-month windows. I don't even fuck around with year windows with him. So,
yep,
we're looking at just in general his full rookie contract. He'll go from 24 to 28 on that rookie deal. That's all I really give a shit about at this point. So.
Agreed.
You're not wrong though. He's like notably older. There's a lot of guys that have been in the league 2 and 3 years more than him that are younger than him.
Yep.
RJ Harvey is older than Breece Hall. Stat of the day.
Yeah.
I'll take Henderson here because that's my Patriots. Henderson in the offseason had like 100-yard kick return touchdown, and everyone was ecstatic. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be our lead back. And then week 1 started, and Fumbles McGee is the one who's getting all the touches, and Gibson's getting touches, and Henderson's third. And then Gibson gets hurt, and you're like, okay, he's going to get – no, he's still not getting touches. And Gibson fumbles it, I think, three times in one game, and you're like, okay, next week Henderson's got it. No, he's still not getting anything. Like, part of it is there is definitely an aspect to the coaching staff and offense of the Patriots where they highly value experience, in that rookies aren't getting a whole ton of play time because they want those rookies to gain the experience before just putting the ball in their hands and giving them the spotlight. I respect that. But when you spend second-round draft capital on Henderson and you have a guy who has butterfingers with the ball and you're not giving Henderson the ball, I mean, you're winning still, but something just doesn't feel right in how – I don't know if it's an attitude problem or something, but there has to be something more than just a coaching not liking rookies for why Henderson's doing nothing. I hope. I don't know.
So I don't have the info in front of me because it's not something you can look up on Sleeper or ESPN, but we should do a little deep dive about how Vrabel he's got enough coaching tenure under his belt, like how he's handled his rookies. Now, I don't know how many times he's drafted a high-end running back, like in the first or second round. I think I'm not 100% sure where Derrick Henry's rookie year fell within Vrabel being in Tennessee. But anyway, you look at receivers too, maybe tight ends, whatever. If this is his trend and he's always done this, better days ahead hopefully for Henderson. But yeah, he's been a colossal miss. Again, I don't think I had any leagues dynasty-wise where I was necessarily drafting him to be like my main starter or even one of my 2 main starters, but I was certainly expecting way more than this out of him. And I mean, in redraft, like you said, the hype for him was out of control.
Oh, yeah.
He went, shit, man, I want to say he was like a 3rd-round pick in my big money redraft league. And I was like salty. Like I was hoping he made it to me, at the 3-4 turn, and I was going to take him. So luckily that didn't happen. But yeah, he's been rough. He's certainly a dude with plenty of talent. They spent all that. He was a very high 2nd-round pick. He wasn't just a day 2 pick. He was like, close to a first almost. So, not a guy you want to. I can't imagine any scenario where you're selling him in a dynasty league at this point. You're going to get you're getting offered nothing. You're going to get the most lowball gross offers for him. I don't care what your scenario is. I mean, the only scenario I could see selling him is if you drafted him and you happen to be on a very locked-in contender, top 2, top 3 team in the league, and some rebuilding team has a very good older running back. and they're going to pay you. You know, they're going to pay you who Josh Jacobs or I don't know if that would ever happen, but just a good, sturdy, steady running back that's producing for Henderson for your title push. I could at least see that if you're doing it to get a title. Other than that, man, just sit on Henderson. Just let him boost his value back up. He will eventually get a shot there.
Yeah, I had depth at wide receiver. I traded Jamar Chase for Henderson and 2 firsts for a rebuilding team, and I probably could have got more for Chase, but there's that hope that Henderson really comes up, and if he really gets to what we were expecting of him, that's I still got some damn good value out of Chase there for a rebuilding team that might be a year or 2 out and want that flexibility. It might have been a little cheap, but I was happy with it. Sorry, you were going to say something?
Patrick?
I like to think that on game day, it's what you see on game day is a culmination of a whole week's worth of meetings and walkthroughs and game film, and does Henderson not have any special teams ability? Can he not pick up blitz? There's gotta be something to not use him at all. When that kickoff return versus Washington in the preseason, I swore that I was watching a film at 3 times the speed. He looked like a million miles an hour. For him to not be used over Antonio Gibson, something where there's smoke, there's fire. At some point, Henderson might not be good at something, and everything that the Patriots are showing us kind of tipping their hand that maybe he is what he is.
Yeah,
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but maybe he sucks. Maybe he ran a million miles an hour against guys that are working at the local UPS store right now.
Could be.
It's possible. Players bust all the time. Players bust more than they succeed. It's the nature of incoming rookies. So I don't think we've seen nearly enough yet to call him a bust or think he's not going to be in the league next year or not even or never even get a chance to get meaningful work. But so far he's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest story when it comes to rookie running backs is just how completely useless he's been. Like I said, with Harvey, he's been getting you 6, 7, 8 points pretty much steadily every week, and at least gave you like a game in the high teens the one week. Henderson has been unusable. There's been a couple times where I put him into a lineup just to cover a bye or an injury, just hoping, and he doesn't get you shit. He gets you 2 points, 3 points.
Yeah, nothing much. Yeah.
I guess the one rookie that's not on here because he's done literally nothing yet is Caleb Johnson of the Steelers. He's literally done nothing. He's getting. I mean, again, we're talking. He hasn't even had a chance to do anything. He has like barely any carries on the year. They seem to like what they're getting out of. Jalen Warren's been playing great. Kenny Gainwell had a monster game the one week that he had to fill in. So another guy, day 2 draft capital. Not a dude that I'm trying to sell at this point. You're not going to get anything for him, but I think just by default, by draft capital, he's another guy that's worth buying on the cheap or stashing just because they're going to give him a look at some point, even if it's next year or 2 years from now. Like he's on a rookie deal, second day draft capital, so he's a buy for me just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And Rashard Smith, the time is coming. Kareem Hunt's washed. Pacheco did not look good at all until this past game, and it was against the Raiders. And
Pacheco was slowly gaining speed beforehand, but this was his last game where he looked like his old self. So it'll be interesting to see if Pacheco continues that.
Yeah, Smith made the waiver article today for sure. I want to pump the brakes because different factors there. They were playing backups. It was the fucking the route was on. So Yes, he had a nice stat line. When you look at the overall numbers, he had some catches, had some yards, had a nice, ended up with a solid fantasy game. But if that game is close, I don't think it just becomes the Brashard Smith show, exclusively in the
Yeah.
late, mid third quarter on. I still think it would probably have been Pacheco and Hunt in there if it was a close game. So definitely worth a grab. Certainly worth having in Dynasty, but don't maybe not throw him into your starting lineup this week.
No.
All right, man. So let's go to the favorite position of our boy Zach.
Diving into some receivers. I mean, it's a very interesting list. Again, this list is done by current points in half PPR leagues. And these are our top 8 players. I mean, we're looking at Emeka Egbuka doing amazing things continuing. I mean, many people thought he wasn't going to play this week, maybe even not next week. And he came out and, again, he's the one getting the targets. Tez Johnson is looking amazing, too. He's down 7th most points for rookie wide receivers ahead of Luther Burden, who people didn't expect. Like, he got drafted behind so many other people that he's doing, and he's filling in great for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Like, the Bucs offense just looks great flowing through Baker Mayfield. And I think those 2 wide receivers are really, they're really filling in for this wide receiver gap of injuries that Godwin and Evans just can't seem to get over.
And my instant takeaway looking at this list was I didn't realize how fucking little these rookie receivers were doing after Egbuka and Tet, because Hunter just finally had his first good game. It was a huge game. He had 100, he had a touchdown, like, he had a monster, 20-plus point. Finally, nice to finally see that happen. And the Jags called that out. Like, Liam Cohen came out and said, we're going to get him the ball more. We're going to, like, force him a lot of targets. And sure as shit, they did. And he looked good. So hopefully that's something we can bank on for fantasy going forward. But yeah, I mean, he just finally had a big game and he's already 3rd on the list. So that really tells you how little we've gotten out of Golden, out of Burden. I mean, it kind of ugly. Torrey Horton's a nice surprise, but he's not a guy that you want to, have to depend on or put in your lineup. Ayo Manor had a couple nice games early, but he's been pretty fucking quiet. I could pull up his game log, but I think he's been very quiet after a couple, like, double-digit games early in the season.
Yeah, and even the drop-off from Egbuka to McMillan is decently sized, too. Like, half PPR to McMillan is about 70 points on the season, whereas Egbuka is 100 or so. So that's still a 30, 35-point difference, whereas Travis Hunter is down. I mean, Egbuka is only one in half PPR averaging over 10 points per game for your wide receivers right now. Outside of IDP leagues for Travis Hunter, we're just talking wide receiver stats for these guys right now.
Yeah, Ayo Manor came out, did nothing week 1, and then he had like 15 and 13 points weeks 2 and 3. He was a hot waiver pickup. It looked like him and Cam Ward had a vibe. And then since then, Ayo Manor has gotten you weeks of 6, 3, 5, and 4. So definitely not somebody that is even really worth keeping on your bench in a redraft league, but at least has shown some signs. And with Ridley being banged up, and he could certainly end up being like the main target there. The Titans are just a fucking hot mess right now, though. So avoid, but impressive to be 4th. Regardless how well the class is doing in general.
Yeah,
fourth, at least something to notice.
Horton is being carried by his touchdowns. Really, I mean, he's barely over 100 yards, but he has 3 touchdowns, and that's netting him 40 points on the season total, which is he's like 1.5 points ahead of Golden. I mean, that's just to tell you Golden has more targets, more receptions, over twice as many yards as Horton, but Golden hasn't gotten a touchdown yet. And that's where he's struggling some. Like, he has twice as many receptions as Horton, but there's no touchdowns. So, like, Golden is he's not that alpha dog for the Packers that people were expecting him to come right in right away and just be that wide receiver one, and everyone else is fighting for the 2. Golden's fighting for the 2, if not the 3 spot. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. Romeo Dobbs is that wide receiver one that Love always looks for, whether it's, he can see him with that guardian cap on or what. But I mean, it sure seems like it's going Dobbs, Kraft, and then Golden with how looks are going right now. And that's with Reed out. What happens when Reed comes back in?
Christian Watson could be back soon. Reed, like I said, the rookies have to earn their due. They have to do the special teams work. They have to get the playbook, and maybe that's only Ibuka is the one. Ibuka and McMillan are the ones doing all the things right in practice during the week, getting the snaps. These other guys, I mean, there's plenty of opportunity. I mean, Iron Manor may as well be the one in Tennessee with Ridley hurt. Golden was a first-round pick. He only had to beat out Romeo Dobbs. Kind of isn't doing that. Hunter was like the de facto 2, like right away in Jacksonville, and then Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know if he puts soap on his hands or Vaseline or vegetable oil or whatever the hell it is that he's doing. All of these guys have plenty opportunity and draft capital, but maybe rookies don't hit as much as I think they do. We should temper our expectations.
We all know it's a weaker class, but just scoring wise, it's much. I mean, McMillan's the wide receiver 27, and has the second most points for rookies right now. So like, that's right on par with Romeo Dobbs. I mean, he needs to get. He has the volume, but yeah, it's. I mean, how many guys here are you comfortable starting week to week right now? Ibuka and McMillan, sure, but McMillan, depending on even how many you're starting. But outside of IDP leagues, I'm not starting Hunter unless I got 3 wide receiver and 2 flex or something like that, and that's even a maybe.
Well, it's not going to look good when Andy Dalton comes in and has a better game than Bryce Young this week, right? Then you're going to have the old Brissett, Kyler Murray situation. Like, is the old backup better than our first overall pick? Yeah, maybe. Is it? Does it help us win games to have the old crusty veteran? Yeah, I might need to have that conversation.
Just wanted to point out with Golden, I wanted to pull up his game log just because it is kind of what I thought it was. He gave you nothing the first 2 weeks. Like, we're all hyped for the first round draft pick rookie on a good offense. Yeah, he got you like 3 and 1 point the first 2 weeks, so it was like huge. Of course, everything we see early in the season just is so much more potent because we've been waiting all year and oh look, he sucks, or oh look, he's amazing. We want to be right or wrong, but since week 3, and they did have a bye in the mix here, but since week 3, he has scored, and almost all my leagues are full PPR, so I'm looking at full PPR, but just a hair over 10, 11.3, 13.2, and then 7.7 this past week. So he hasn't been, a disaster at all. Like he's, those type of point totals, you're not horribly mad about having in your wide receiver 3 or flex, and he is a first round drafted rookie. They seem to be using him more. His snap percentage has been crawling up as well. So Golden's a dude that I wasn't a huge fan of the college tape, and we had lots of discussions on he really didn't even do much in college, and it was just a few big games even in his senior year, and then he had the good combine with the great 40 time. But the Packers spent up on him. It seems to me that they would just be foolish not to just kind of force it to him a little bit. And, he's had some big plays in the last couple of weeks. So we'll see on Golden. I mean, I think he could very, very easily end up as the 3rd scoring receiver in this group, by season's end.
Yeah, potentially. I'm not saying a first-round draft pick won't hit that. What concerns me a little is he's played 3 top 10 most points allowed for wide receivers defenses. That was a mouthful. The Lions, the Commanders, and the Cowboys have given up top 10 points to wide receivers on the season, and he has his best performance facing those three has been wide receiver 29 against Dallas. In his first two games, granted, the first two games were against the Lions and the Commanders, who have given up a ton of points. So I was really hoping he would get so much more against that Dallas defense. Like, just run the top off them, get a 50-yard touchdown, like show off his speed. He's facing some weaker defenses come up. There's hope still. I mean, it's not going to take much to get to wide receiver 3. So that's why I'm saying there's definitely a chance. I mean, another 20 points and he'd be right up there with Hunter. So he needs to start showing off that speed, especially against those weaker defenses to get something going.
When Golden comes out with a Guardian cap, then I know it's for real. All chips are in.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, Tez Johnson, man, he's looked good given the opportunity the last couple of weeks. He's such a little tiny guy. He makes Devontae Smith look pretty fucking swole. But he's getting it done, man. He's explosive. He's fast. Baker seems to have no beef throwing on the ball. We just discussed
no one left.
Mike Evans' broken collarbone. Chris Godwin still, kind of on the mend. So Tez, talk about a guy that, you probably don't have any hesitation putting in as your receiver 3 or a flex, especially given the bipocalypse here. He's certainly worth rostering, worth checking out. And then Luther Burden, he's had exactly like 2 big plays. I don't even want to say 2 big games. I think he's had like 2 big touchdowns like over the course of the year, but he's a dude that certainly talented. But I mean, that Bears offense, the passing game looks messy. They can't even get, fucking my poor boy DJ Moore. Now they can't even get a Dunze any production. So
yeah,
Burden lost in a big mess of bodies there, and they seem to be having a lot of success running the ball with Swift and Monganai. So, Burden is not somebody I don't give a fuck what 16-team league, 4 flexes. Like, I can't see a scenario where you're putting Luther Burden into your lineup right now.
No, Burden.
Here's Burden's box scores. -3 yards receiving, 5 yards receiving, 101 yards receiving, because that was on a flea flicker, and he got obviously 60 yards there.
Yeah.
-4 yards. So he has more weeks with less than 0 yards. You could have started me 2 weeks and did better than Luther Burden. They already had DJ Moore, Odunze, Colston Loveland, Swift. What an unnecessary pick.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
How did they think they were going to utilize him?
I mean, I think if sleeper right now, I'm not seeing rushing, just looking online, but I think he has a game or 2 of negative rushing yards too with how they're using him. And he hasn't recorded a game of more than 30% snap share. Zacchaeus playing slot snaps is averaging at least 60% of the slot snaps. He has multiple games over 50, one at 84%. Zacchaeus is not, I actually think he has a lower scoring than Burden, but he is a better safety blanket that Caleb Williams seems to trust right now. And Burden, I can't imagine unless you're have 7 slots you can start a wide receiver in where you're even considering Burden, just because, I mean, two-thirds of his points came from one game against the Dallas defense, where 3/4 of those points came on a flea flicker, which was almost botched by Swift deciding to lollipop the flea flicker back to Caleb, where it almost didn't work. I can't see it.
We were just talking about with RJ Harvey and Travion Henderson. It's day 2 capital, pretty high day 2 capital. There's been some rumor that maybe DJ Moore gets moved, whether it be before the trade deadline or like in the off season. They gave him a pretty big bag, but there's a fairly easy enough out for them, I think, money wise on DJ Moore. So dynasty wise, certainly a hold or better things ahead. Maybe even a buy if you have somebody that's like throwing him on the block because they think he sucks or he's not done anything yet this year. Just they're going to give him more work and a look, whether that be next year or the middle of next year or whatever. But he's we saw the explosivity on the one big play there. He can get it done, but it's just too many mouths there right now.
The Bears need to trade DJ Moore to the Bucks. That would be beautiful. That'd be beautiful.
What?
Make it happen.
For my 8,000 DJ Moore shares, I'm on board. I mean, send him anywhere. Send him anywhere but like the Titans.
Yeah. I know what was it? The Giants and Steelers were looking for a wide receiver. Initially, I was like, the Chargers might send someone. They're starting to like Trey Harris. He's starting to get more snaps. Could they send someone? They're not going to. But I was like, who are they going to send? Quinn Johnston's looking great. Lab McConkey is you're not moving him. Keenan Allen, you're not going to move. But DJ Moore to Bucks, Giants, Steelers would be very interesting to see. Get him the snaps. I kind of like that.
Yeah, just I nothing obviously official, but I just remember hearing that it's not crazy to think that they would move him at the trade deadline. But we'll see. We shall see.
I've heard that, but generally that's from people who love Luther Burden, so I put a grain of salt on it.
Wishful hopium there from the Burden camp.
Yep.
Is there any other receivers that didn't make this list scoring wise that you guys think of off the top of your head that maybe you wanted to mention? I didn't really have one, but there's got to be at least one or two that are worth saying something about.
Yeah. There's two I want to mention briefly. The first I mentioned, Trey Harris, is he's starting to get a little more snaps. Now that's the Quentin Johnston kind of injury. Week 6, Trey Harris took the most snaps for wide receiver. Granted, he didn't do so much, 4 targets for 27 or 4 catches on 5 targets for 27 yards. He's a little older too. We mentioned Harvey is 24, Trey Harris is 23. So he scored high in my model. I think it's just such a crowded wide receiver room. Same with Burden, that he's just getting lost in it. That depending on what the Chargers do with wide receiver coming up over the next year or two, there's still a chance for him, especially if Keenan Allen only lasts a year. But he's, at least in my mind, he's been a disappointment. The other I mentioned briefly before you guys can give comments or if there's any others, Jaden Higgins for the Texans. Yep. You saw Tank Dell go down, Stephon Diggs left. Your high hopes for him coming through. Granted, part of it, CJ Stroud is having a slump to some extent. He's not doing nearly as well as people were hoping out of him. I mean, he 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,300 yards, not doing amazing things. But if you look at it, Jaden Higgins is slowly creeping up in snap percentage. He's slowly creeping up in target some. I mean, he's not getting amazing target share, but he's someone more to keep an eye on, that if you can get him cheap, he has some potential as he slowly seems to be getting more and more into that offense. I mean, don't touch him in redraft. This is purely dynasty purposes, but he's someone to keep an eye on at least. But yeah, outside of Nico Collins, there's no receiver on the Texans to consider starting.
Well, huge thing there is Nico Collins got concussed on Monday Night Football. Higgins is a Nico Collins clone. I think they're literally listed as the same exact height and weight. They look like each other on the field. They're just giant dudes. If Nico Collins, usually concussions, you miss a week, maybe 2. If Nico Collins is out, I think Higgins is an easy start. I mean, they have what's there. Dalton Schultz is the king of the waiver article. He's just there every week because he never gets above 20% rostership, and he gets you 10 points a week, which is probably better than you're getting from the tight end you're rolling out every week. But boost for Schultz, but I think Higgins would just immediately assume that Nico role. I mean, he can play that position. So, in any week that Nico is out, I wouldn't hesitate to put Jaden Higgins in my lineup.
Yeah, you're right. Just briefly, their height and heights listed the same, weights within 10 pounds of each other.
Yeah.
Higgins is a little lighter. The only other receiver, Christian Kirk and Jalen Knoll, is going to. I mean, Jalen Knoll got 7 targets yesterday, whereas Higgins got 3. So Knoll's someone to keep an eye out on, but you're right. Higgins really fits that Collins role.
For sure.
Any other comments on these guys or any other receivers to bring up?
No, I was just I was scrolling through the list of per points per game, and I was going to bring up Higgins if you didn't, but after that, we're talking about some real nobodies, some guys that are barely even on like dynasty rosters. So
yeah, the Jack Beck, Pat Bryant, Jalen Royals, like the shiny new toy, but they're just not good at the finer points of football. They have no special teams value. They're something's keeping them from getting on the field, even in the most in the shallowest depth charts. If you're not getting on the field on the Raiders, or you're doing something wrong, and it may not ever happen for you. And even the Texans, if you can't beat out the shell of Christian Kirk or Xavier Hutchinson, or not good. Not good.
Okay. We're going to jump into tight ends and QBs next. There's so few that we kind of have them up on one side. Really, there's 3 rookie quarterbacks to talk about. And reality, we probably could only talk about 3 rookie tight ends, but threw all 5 of them up there. I mean, Jackson Dart, he came up a little questionable based upon his, I think, knee, maybe ankle. Cam Ward has looked worse than people expected. He's a rookie cute quarterback. And Dylan Gabriel, again, many Cleveland fans or even Sanders fans thought Sanders would get the go nod before Gabriel, but Cleveland even threw more at Gabriel, saying, okay, Joe Flacco, we're going to trade you not just to another team, we're going to trade you to a division rival. That's how much we don't want you, and we're going to go forward with Gabriel. So kind of what are our thoughts on these 3 quarterbacks so far?
So Dart definitely is exciting. He's getting a ton of rushing yards, so that's given him a floor. Seems to have kind of just interjected some life into the Giants. They're like an exciting team to watch with him in there. I've, the bits I've watched of him, I mean, he's throwing some nice darts out there, pun intended.
There you
go. He in that collapse versus the Broncos, he threw some dog shit passes too. He threw a few right at Broncos that should have been intercepted that didn't get intercepted. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to be excited to have him. If you have him in Dynasty, I mean, he's definitely worth rostering in redraft as well, getting you through buys, and you potentially lost. You were without Lamar Jackson the last couple of weeks. It would have been nice to have a guy like Dart. So, pleasant surprise. Making the people that were mocking the Giants saying he wasn't a first round pick. Well, he looks a fucking lot better than Cam Ward.
Looks a lot better than Anthony Richardson.
That's not difficult.
No. And imagine next year when he gets Malik Neighbors back.
Yeah. He's doing this without Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. Him and Cam Scattaboo are just carrying the Giants. And it's so fun to watch.
It is.
Wandale's look good. They've got 2 decent Theo Johnson and Bellinger look adequate, good enough. I mean, the Giants probably going to pick in the top 10 to 20. I don't know if they go wide receiver again, but if you give them like Denzel Boston or another awesome receiving, they should go offensive line. Don't want them to end up like Joe Burrow or you should protect your franchise asset. Poverty franchises do poverty franchise things, but even just what they have now, it's a fun, exciting offense. Dart he has that grit. Like when I see him talk, like I want to run through a brick wall. I'm not even a Giants fan. He's a motivating dude. Russell Wilson just kind of like he's there for the photo op. Like Dart has to be rallying that locker room. He looks awesome. I wasn't totally sold on him heading into the draft. Thought he was good, not great, but I'm impressed.
Yep.
With Ward, I mean, he's literally was the first overall pick in the draft. He's got as long of a leash as you're going to get as a quarterback. The dude has no weapons around him. He has a shitty offensive line. He's under pressure a lot. It's a mess there. But Ward's clear hold for your super flex leagues. He's completely useless, unrosterable in a single quarterback format. But if you play in super flex leagues, he's certainly a hold. You got to assume there's better days ahead. You have to dig a good bit through all the Titans tape, but the plays where he has a minute to throw the ball and his receiver gets open, he's throwing, he can throw a nice frozen rope out there. He's got mobility, he's got the tools. It's just a real shitty scenario there. It's almost like they earned the first pick overall in the draft. They're that bad. So I don't want to just completely dunk on the kid, but he's been a lot shittier than most of us expected. And I don't necessarily think it's that he's bad at football.
What it reminds me of a little is kind of Baker Mayfield with Cleveland, where you have someone who has some great talent potential, but the situation is just so hard to overcome. The coaching staff, the line, the weapons, it's just so difficult that hopefully he does well and we'll pick it up over the next rest of the season. Next year, Titans will do some moves to help him out more than just the shell of himself, Calvin Ridley. But I'd hate to say or hate to see Cam Ward need to go to another location to do something. But he's not, as it is right now, he's not set up for success. And there's few quarterbacks I think that could be successful with the Titans right now. Out of all the quarterbacks in the league, that I think it's that crappy of a situation. I mean, which situation do you like better, Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel? Well, I hate to say it, but I think Gabriel has the better situation.
He's got a great defense to help him out. He's got a young running back that looks like a stud. He's got at least some capable pass catchers and Fannin and Judy and Njoku whenever he comes back. So yeah, easily a better situation for Gabriel.
Yeah.
I thought the Titans were doing all the right things. They had some good veteran players. They got Pollard and Ridley, and they brought in Tyler Lockett, and Okonkwo was pretty good. And then they made a good pick with Iamaner, and then they brought in Xavier Restrepo to have some Miami connection to help Ward get acclimated to Ward did look better immediately after Brian Callahan got fired, but he's got this year and next year are going to be bad. So they're going to get a top 5 pick next year. Hopefully it's not another fantasy relevant player going to the abyss that is Tennessee, but hopefully maybe they'll just take the best offensive lineman or the best defensive player, and we won't have to sacrifice a good, talented offensive player.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it well there, Brian. Just with when you look at the tape of Cam Ward, if you really look at it, he has made some really good throws, but it's just he doesn't have time or the wide receivers to do that consistently enough. There's the talent there. The situation just needs to improve.
Agreed. We already talked plenty about Gabriel and Shadur at the end of the day, I don't think either of them are the future for the Browns. You know, the Browns are going to end up making a free agent splash or drafting a quarterback soon. So just temporary fill-ins. But Gabriel's been serviceable. And then, yeah, man. So with the tight ends, Tyler Warren has been
Amazing.
phenomenal. He's got to be probably tight end 2. McBride's finally tearing it up. So McBride probably went to tight end. No, Jake Ferguson's still tight end 1. He's been fucking ridiculous.
Warren's 3 behind Ferguson and McBride.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Looking like, I don't know if I have a premium in this league I'm looking at, but like 16.9 points a game from a tight end. Fantastic. Yeah. And so good. I don't want to even call him a buy. Nobody in their fucking right mind selling Tyler Warren at this point. So just smoke if you got him, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's the Daniel Jones. I think he was faded because of Richardson, and he had the talent, and he has a quarterback that can hit the broadside of a barn, and he catches like he is the broadside of a barn. Like, he is amazing. He's doing some great things for Indy. That I mean, he seems to be the alpha number 1 receiver or number 1 target in the passing game over Pittman, over Downs, over everyone. It's get the ball to Warren. He's going to do great things.
Daniel Jones has the Colts as the number 1 seed in the NFL right now.
Oh, man. If this is a dream, I don't want to wake up.
It's outrageous, man. Yeah, I mean, I know we're talking about the tight ends here, but Daniel Jones is like the quarterback 10 in points per game this year. So depending on the score, he might be a little bit higher than that. But literally a solid starter for, a single quarterback league. He hasn't given you really any dud games either. Jones has been consistent for fantasy. Yeah. To quote Malik Neighbors, Daniel Jones was not the problem here.
Yeah. True story.
It's fun as hell to watch, man. And like, how can't you be happy for Daniel Jones too, with all the shit that he had to eat for that long and just getting. Yeah, man, good for him. But yeah, Tyler Warren, fucking alpha. Just again, you're not buying him. Just enjoy the ride if you have him. But he looks like he's going to be, locked in for years to come, because he's not just doing it on touchdowns the way that like Laporta did, or on some crazy volume like Bowers was doing last year. He's just like making the most out of every catch. Like, he's running, he catches the ball with a head of steam and he's just running motherfuckers over. It's very impressive to look at. And Harold Fannin has been usable. He's, especially with Gabriel, that even last week when it was just all Judkins, the only guy that even caught more than like 2 passes was Fannin. They're don't seem to be that long or, down the field much, but, in PPR and especially in like tight end premium leagues, Fannin is looking pretty good.
Yeah. He's getting the volume.
Yep.
He's not touchdown dependent. He's getting the targets, receptions. Especially in tight end premium leagues where it's a lot of points per reception for tight ends. Fannin is looking good. And I mean, I don't think many people expected this with their wide receiver room, with Njoku, that he would be getting 9 targets week 1. And now he's consistently averaging 7 or 8 targets a game. It's for those people who got him in the 3rd round. Some places he went 4th round or undrafted, depending on your dynasty league. That getting him off waivers and redraft. He's a great component as to why we talked about at the beginning of the season and before that you can wait on tight end. I mean, if you wait on tight end, you could have gotten Ferguson late. You could get Fannin late. Even Warren in many leagues, because it's the tight end position, you could have got him a little later. Like, many of these top tight ends are ones that you could have drafted later. If you look at projections on the season of tight ends to start the year, Brock Bowers, McBride, who's up there, Kittle, Laporta, Hawkinson, Kelsey, Ingram, Andrews, Njoku, Kraft. Like, there's so many tight ends that at least 5-6 of those names just aren't in the top 10 of tight end scoring, that if you waited on these rookie tight ends, this Fannin, Tyler Warren, you're reaping that benefit right now. And there's just upside for them.
Yeah, man. Gadsden just had monster game after a pretty good game, so he's the graphic for the waiver wire article. He's definitely going to be the main pickup this week for redraft waiver wire. He's a dude that temper expectations. They threw the ball fucking 55 times in that game. I don't think that's Harbaugh's game plan every week. Yeah. And they also, similar to the Bears, a lot of mouths to feed there. They'll throw the ball to running backs. They have, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, Lad McConkey. These dudes are going to demand targets. So Gadsden's definitely worth the pickup. Pleasant surprise. He was a very late rookie pick, like notably later than Fannin even. But he has Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin as competition there, so neither of them seem to be keeping him off the field.
Yep.
So wheels up for Gadsden. Let's not assume he's getting 20 plus points like he did last week.
Yeah, that was amazing. 7 receptions
for I wrote a rookie piece on Gadsden. He looked good. He looks awesome. I don't think it's as fluky as it feels. He don't chase points. He's not going to have that good of a week this week, but he's legit. Wait till he has a bad week. Someone's going to blow their entire free agency fab wad this week on Gadsden, and they're going to be pissed off when he has like a 35-yard game. But I like Gadsden a lot. The comparison I had was prime Darren Waller, and I couldn't believe. I was like, yeah, I think he's pretty good. I think he could be a sneaky player next year. And then I saw the box score. I'm like, oh, he's not a secret anymore. The cat's out of the bag. It's like,
yeah,
holy shit.
Monster game for sure. So yeah, we'll see. Definitely worth grabbing though, and nice find if you sit on one of your taxi squads in Dynasty.
Yep.
We got Mason Taylor 4th. He's he's getting volume. There's not much there. This past week it was a huge letdown. A lot of people started him with Garrett Wilson out, just assuming he would get flooded with targets, which he did not. But he's looked solid overall. I think there's all the reason in the world to have hope for the future that he's going to be a main part of the Jets offense for a while to come yet. The sad part about that statement is that it involves the Jets offense. So, can't get too excited about him.
I was gonna say,
but it looks good for him. He's shown he's had some decent games so far, and barring injury, I can't imagine he's not a stream worthy tight end there for a while.
He's a great someone you can get cheap, especially in dynasty leagues. If you like streaming tight ends, or if it's a best ball league, if you can get him cheap to pair with Theo Johnson and a couple of these other lower end tight ends, that one of them is going to give you a great week. And Taylor's, he's getting up there. Last 4 weeks, he's had 80+% of snaps. You have Justin Fields, now Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. That's going to limit the consistency some, but he's someone, if you like streaming tight ends, it's hard to not try and go after Taylor just for his, even if it's just his potential, if you're not going to start him right away.
Yeah, for sure. Patrick, you cleared up for whatever reason. I don't know, your head. We've reached a portion of the show where Patrick blurs himself out and then does some waving around.
I should know better by now.
Looks like he's cleared up again. So Gunnar Helm, we have 5th on the list here just because he, by default is the 5th scoring rookie tight end. He's just a deep dynasty stash at this point. He did have a nice college career, so he could certainly end up becoming a factor for the Titans going forward. But we're talking about the Titans offense. It's totally anemic. The guy that isn't on this graphic that we definitely need to talk about is Colston Loveland, the other first-round drafted tight end. He just hasn't done shit yet. Again, stuck in that crowded ass Bears offense that can't really seem to throw the ball well. He's a top, what is he, fucking 10th overall pick in the draft, 11th overall pick in the draft.
10th.
That's, crazy high for tight end. So as it thins out there, they move on from DJ Moore. Possibly they, just decide to go to a more pass heavy offense. Loveland's certainly a dude that's could be a buy low. I don't think with where most people took him in rookie drafts, I don't think anybody's anxious to get rid of him at such a low point this early on in the process. Like I said, same thing with like Henderson or Harvey. People drafted them in the first round, whatever. They're not trying to move on this soon. But if you have somebody panicked, he's a buy to me because he shouldn't be that expensive. But for this season, for redraft purposes, dynasty in season purposes, he's not a guy that I'm putting in the lineup yet until we see like a drastic change in the way the Bears are operating. But, crazy high capital, very good prospect, just certainly worth touching on here.
Yeah. We have our first start-sit question.
And not Warren. Thank you so much.
Oh, I took Loveland over Warren in a league or two, and I'm highly regretting it now.
I did as well. I was basing it on a few different analyst takes that they really like Loveland a lot better than Warren. So, yeah.
We have our first start-sit question, and for me, I think this is pretty easy, but I'll throw it up. Are we starting Jordan Addison Thursday night over Merritt, Chase Brown, or Deebo Samuel? And for me, I think that's pretty easy. We talked about this a touch before the show started. Is Jordan Addison has been on a roll. He's up against a weak defense. Chargers have given up, I think, top 5, 6, 7 most points to wide receivers. That I think it's easily you put Addison over, I think, any of them. But if you had to sit one, I'd probably sit Chase Brown just with how he's done. But I'm starting Addison easily there.
Easy Addison for me too.
Through process of elimination.
We just need one in that group.
It said start Jordan Addison over Bill, Brown, or Deebo. So I think it's sit one of them. It sounded like.
Oh, just sit one of them.
Yeah, it sounded like start Jordan Addison over Bill, Chase Brown, or Deebo. So it's
that kind of, I don't know, the way it's worded, I can't really tell if he means like he has to pick one of them for a flex, or he has to play all but one of them. But so I'll answer it both ways. If you are picking one from that group, it's easily fucking Addison for me.
Start one.
Yeah, pick one of them. So it's Addison.
Pick one. Yeah.
Easy Addison. Since he came back from suspension, he's averaging 17 points a game in PPR. That's 7th among wide receivers. Consistent, balling. Carson Wentz looks for him over and over again. Addison's a dude that, talk about when you look at the tape. As an Eagles fan, I watched every snap of the Eagles game. He was just getting open over and over and over again. The Eagles have a good secondary, so he's impressive. Addison, if I'm not mistaken, he won like the Blitnikoff, best receiver in the country his last year in college. He's plenty talented. He just happens to be playing on the other side of the field from fucking Justin Jefferson, which doesn't do you any favors as far as winning a beauty contest at receiver. But Addison gets it done, man. I think he's one of the more underrated players in receivers, especially out there. And man, easy start for me. I don't have to even think about it looking at the other guys on the list. Bill, Deebo, nah, dog. That's a no for me, dog.
And to confirm that, Wentz was confirmed to be the starter for this week 8, so it's easy.
Chargers allow the fifth most points to wide receivers. Rocket ship emoji Addison.
Yep.
Good stuff. Let's take a look at the recaps. We're good, a good hour and a half in before we even got to the weekly slate. So I think we probably touched on a shit ton of what happened in these games already. Just going over all the stuff we just went over. But let's see if there's anything anything you guys want to bring up or anything that really stands out to you.
quick before we got one other question. PPR, are you starting Hawkinson or Mason Taylor? Looking at this, Mason Taylor, it's Panthers at Jets. Or are you looking at, or sorry, that's this week. Next week is Hawkinson is at Chargers. And then the Jets are, who are the Jets playing next week?
The
Bengals.
Give me Mason Taylor there.
Yeah, it's hard to start. Hawkinson hasn't done too much. That feels so bad to say start Taylor over Hawkinson, though.
I will Hawkinson here. Just looking at his game log. So, the touchdown that got overturned at the end of that Eagles game, it was very close. As an Eagles fan, I'm quite glad it got called a no catch, but it was super borderline. Like, if they would have called that a touchdown, I don't think anybody could have been, that freaked out about it. So, even without the touchdown, he was 9 targets, 6 catches, 43 yards, which is, solid for, in the tight end market. That's a fine game. And if you made that 7 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown, now he's probably the tight end 2 or 3 on the week. So I'm okay rolling out Hawkinson. Wentz tends to target him a decent amount. I don't think it's a lack of targets for him. And the Jets look so fucking pathetic. What did Mason Taylor do last week when there was no competition for targets? I don't have it right in front of me. I can find it, but Garrett Wilson wasn't playing. And Mason Taylor did fucking nothing.
Yeah. Now, that's a good point. For me, again, it feels so bad to say start Mason Taylor over Hawkinson. When I'm looking at it, I was going to say that. I was going to say Hawkinson, but just looking at it, the Chargers have let up the 27th least points to tight ends. So they're like a top 5 defense against tight ends.
They are. They're a bad matchup against tight ends.
The Bengals give up an average of 19 points per game to tight ends. That's with Tyrod Taylor not coming in mid-game can actually work on the game script some. If I'm hoping for a boom game, I'm going Taylor. If I want consistency, I'm going Hawkinson. So I'm looking at the rest of my lineup and saying, do I need consistent points? If I do, I'm going Hawkinson. If I want that potential of 25 points, I think Taylor has the higher potential for a ceiling, just based upon matchup.
Yeah, that's fair.
Last week, the duo of Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth against the Bengals had 8 catches, 139 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I'm going to roll the dice on Mason Taylor versus the Bengals.
Yeah.
You can. They're a lot better than the fucking Jets, though. They have Aaron Rodgers throwing them the ball.
True story. Let's
see. I
see.
think that's fair. If you're the underdog, put Taylor in. If you're in a close game or favored, put Hawkinson in.
Yeah. I think you guys mentioned it. We talked a lot about different aspects of these games already, so probably going over a couple things that stuck out. And for me, immediately, the Jaguars looked so much worse than I expected against the Rams. I was expecting them to be within 14 points, put up 20 points or so. I know the Rams have a good defense, but they just looked like they deserved the number 1 pick based upon how they played.
Except Travis Hunter. He did really good.
Yeah, except Hunter.
Which was garbage time, but he did really well.
Counts for fantasy.
It does. I fucking hate to take much away from London games. I feel like London games are just weird, fucking odd one-offs. Matthew Stafford had 5 touchdowns and 135 yards passing. I'm exaggerating, but it was like a crazy small number considering he had 5 touchdowns. And same with Devontae. Devontae Adams had 3 touchdowns and had 51 yards or something. Not even. I think it was 3 touchdowns and 45 yards or something like that. So odd stuff. the Jags were 4-1 at some point, and I don't think anybody thought they were a true 4-1 team. Fluky weirdness, but we'll see. I think my big takeaway from the Jags is let's see if they do that with Travis Hunter again. Let's see if they continue to focus on him and make him an actual viable fantasy asset, or just maybe even just hyper target him and BTJ and try to get them both going. We'll see. But yeah, they look like shit. They look like they didn't know they had a game that day.
Well, and they have had the most abroad games out of any NFL team because they go abroad once or twice every year. So I was expecting them to have the leg up on the Rams because we know how to travel. We know how to they looked like this was their first international game and they just got off the airplane and walked to the stadium. Like, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
It was essentially a home game for the Jags, and the Rams had to fly that much farther, and the Jaguars' whole game plan was Parker Washington end arounds. Like, Shane Waldron sucks. Brian Thomas Jr. I think he's already mentally checked out. Lawrence doesn't look very good, and I think Liam Cohen likes his own Facebook posts. It's just like, what are they doing? Like, it's a vanilla offense. They aren't utilizing Hunter as much as you think they would for the second overall pick. And it was raining. It was just it was a bad game for a London game, and all the London games are bad. Just Jaguars already seem like they're mailing it in. Travis Etienne's hot start looks to be over.
Well, I'm streaming Travis Etienne because he played a couple tough defenses the last few weeks that he really went off on those weak defenses. He's still streamable, but yeah, he's not that plug and play like people were hoping after his hot start.
What else? Already talked about the Eagles passing game showing up, which was nice.
Amazing.
Colts are rolling. We talked about the Broncos' crazy-ass comeback, but the Giants are still fun and exciting. Niners-Falcons was messy. Nobody got anything that they wanted real fantasy-wise. I mean, of course, Bijan had his usual solid game, but it was just, dude, George Kittle. I thought maybe they eased him back in, and that's why he didn't get any points. He was on the field for 81% of snaps, and he didn't even have a target. Yes. Kittle's on the field for 81% of snaps, and he didn't get a target.
How do you do that as the 49ers? That's
classic equal.
The classic give Christian McCaffrey in 8 billion touches and targets.
2 targets, 0 receptions. You can't do that.
Or 2 targets at least, but
still,
everybody that has George Kittle on any roster was so excited to slide him back in, and he got you the fat goose.
Yep.
That sucked. The line, the 2 games last night, we got to see the thing with the Lions where they just said, okay, we're going to beat you with Amon-Ra and Gibbs, and sorry if you started Monty or Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, man, another goose. Talk about, he was such a hot pick for a breakout week or to put in your daily lineups. Or, I think he was a few different podcasts, start of the week type player, and he got you a fucking goose, man. That game just definitely didn't go as scripted. I think it was Baker's worst game of the year, fantasy wise as well. He got you, if you were relying on him, he got you nothing. Igbuka got you 9 points. I mean, most people didn't even most people already started other players over Igbuka because he was probably looking like he wasn't going to play, and he got announced that he was going to play. So I think he only got started in 11% of leagues or something like that. So, weird game there. The only real winners were Gibbs and Amon-Ra. And then with the Seahawks, Texans, Nico got concussed, as we already touched on.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that CJ Stroud looks so bad, is that their offensive line might be the worst in the NFL. He has just got people in his face fucking instantly. Talk about, Ashton Genty and Chase Brown getting fucking met in the backfield. My man's taking the snap, and fucking D linemen are just smacking him right in the mouth as soon as he's got the ball.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's rough. I don't know if they can put a Band-Aid on that and get a little bit better, but they at least kept it close. I mean, pretty impressive effort to only lose by 6 in Seattle with Nico going down, not even playing the whole game.
Yep.
But they definitely need to do something with that offensive line, or they're going to get Stroud killed.
Yeah, that's a great point about Jameson Williams. I think I don't think he was getting much separation that game. I remember him early on. He got an offensive pass interference call, and I think the Lions just saw Amon-Ra and Gibbs were getting it done. Jameson wasn't getting that separation, or something was going on, and they just said, Amon-Ra, Gibbs, just take us home. And Gibbs, over 200 scrimmage yards. Like, he was on fire. I mean, it was a fun game to watch just because of how explosive the Lions offense looked, despite the lower scoring. But that was a rough performance by the Bucs. Knew the Lions defense was good, but expected they're weaker against the wide receivers, and I expected Egbuka and Baker to at least have more of a connection than they did.
Yeah,
right, man.
The rise and fall and fall and rise and fall of Joe Flacco. Like, what a roller coaster that guy's career has been. I always thought he was carried by the Ravens defense. I always kind of laughed him off. People say, "Oh, Joe Flacco's elite." Joe Flacco is not elite. And then he goes to the Jets and the Broncos, and he has like 2 feet in the grave. And then out of nowhere, this dude, I can't think of a player that's ever had a resurrection like that. It's incredible. And the Browns traded him within the division.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco's damn good quarterback. Like, if Joe Flacco played like he is the last season or two with the Browns, Colts, and Bengals earlier in his career with the Ravens, he probably has three Super Bowls, maybe more. He's fun to watch. That was an awesome Thursday night game.
Yeah, it was a great Thursday night game.
They ran the same play over and over again.
Hit Jamar Chase.
And Higgins got his too, but like the thing that I really noticed from it is they designed everything for him to take a 2 or 3 step drop and get the ball out of his hand.
Yeah.
There was no plays where he took a drop and then was moving around and looking where to go. It was drop back, throw, and it was over and over again. It's almost every Jamar Chase catch was the same fucking play, and they just couldn't stop it. So, Flacco can do that. So, if you have any shares of Chase or Higgins, how fucking thrilled are you to see that? I mean, it was like a record for the most targets ever to a receiver, and 26 targets or 25 targets,
amazing,
or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Jesus, and it worked. If you're not going to stop it, and most DBs can't stop Jamar Chase, so who knows? But we just see a repeat of that every fucking week.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, man. So let's
next
check
week
on
preview. Bimageddon.
Yeah.
Got huge teams, big players on bye, but we got some good games coming up this week. When I was looking at this to see what game I think would be very interesting to see or watch, I know I watch them every week. I've mentioned I live in Bear Country. I think the Bears-Ravens is going to be a very interesting game because the Ravens have started off horribly and need to really get back on track. They're coming off a bye. The Bears' offense hasn't looked the best. I think this might be an interesting defensive clash that might not be as high scoring as people are expecting, but I think that's going to be an interesting game.
It should be. Both defenses have been pretty dreadful The Ravens more so just because they were decimated with injury, and they've gotten a little bit healthier, and they're coming off bye, so they should be a good bit healthier. And the Bears defense is pretty lame. They've been a joy for your offensive fantasy players to go against. So that should be exciting. We should have Lamar back. That it should be a fun. It should be a fun game. I can see that being one of the more entertaining games of the week, even if it isn't necessarily like super high scoring.
Yeah,
sure. Lots of relevant fantasy pieces there involved. What else?
Bears and the Ravens are both top 10 in points allowed to quarterback, running back, wide receiver.
So maybe take that back and say it's going to be a lot more high scoring than one might think. But
maybe.
For Bimageddon, you're hoping you have those. For Bimageddon, Bijan Robinson should get you the points of 2 running backs this week against the Dolphins. So pray you have him.
Yeah, hopefully get a bigger game from Drake London as well. Dolphins defense is they're a gift to fantasy. The other defense that's just dead last in everything is the Cowboys. So fire up your Broncos. You should have another big game from Knicks. You assume especially with the injuries and the buys, you got to figure Cortland Sutton sitting in the top 12 in every ranking list for this week. Even dart throw on like Marvin Mims or Franklin. If you're really hurting for the bipocalypse, fire up your Dobbins. RJ Harvey could end up getting that random receiving touchdown and getting you 10, 12 points instead of 6.
Yeah.
So wheels up. I mean, literally, whatever team is playing the Cowboys, and I'm not just ripping the Cowboys because I'm an Eagles fan, but like their defense is historically fucked this year.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's just they're. My wife and I are watching that Ed Gein show on fucking Netflix, and then we just finished the episode where he's fucking the chick that owns the hardware store, and his mom's like, "She's the town pump, Eddie. Everybody gets a turn." The fucking Cowboys defense is the town pump, the town bicycle.
Free space.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of revenge games this week. You got Flacco against the Jets. I know Saquon's played the Giants before, but Saquon against the Giants again. You got the Javonte Williams against the Broncos. You got Aaron Rodgers against the Packers. A lot of revenge games. I love a good revenge game. It feels like hyperbole, but I think there's also some truth to it that players get amped up to play a former foe, someone that they have a chip on their shoulder, especially Flacco is going to throw all over the Jets.
Hopefully.
I think the Broncos and Cowboys, both teams are going to score 50 points. They had I remember a Peyton Tony Romo shootout like 10 or so years ago. It's going to be a high scoring game. It may be good that there's a lot of crappy teams on by, like the Jaguars and the Cardinals and the Raiders, so we could focus on the good football.
Maybe. Yeah, sure, Barkley has played the Giants again, but I'm sure the Eagles are out for blood after losing to the Giants a couple weeks ago. Brian, how many points are the Eagles going to beat the Giants by at home? Coming back for blood after losing 2 weeks ago to them.
Listen, the Eagles have been weird up and down this year. It seems like they only throw out of like being backed into a corner or some shit. So I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, I hope they see what's been going on, that Saquon's not getting any space. I think that the offensive line is more so a problem than like Saquon being gassed from last year. They're not getting the push. They're missing players. I mean, I think Cam Jurgens is out. They're literally missing like some of their best offensive linemen, and the ones that are there are just tired from all the work. So I'd like to think they see that, and they see how the passing game worked last week, and they go back to it. But I also don't put it past this coaching staff to just fucking run Saquon into the back of the center on first and second down, and then do something stupid on third down and get behind again. Divisional games are always tough. Knock on wood, I fucking hope they win. I think they do win. But I mean, the Giants are playing well, and they just beat the shit out of us 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a win. Point total wise, I don't know. I'm bad with over unders, man. I'd say I'm hoping for like a 21, maybe 24-17 win for the Birds, somewhere in that neighborhood. Obviously, I'd prefer a blowout, but the Eagles make every fucking game stressful. Even this past one, it always comes down to a final possession, a field goal. They have to get a stop or something like that. It's every fucking week, man. Just every gray hair I got, I think, is from the Eagles.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too worried about it, because even if the Eagles are down, like 20 or 30 points in the fourth quarter, they still can come back.
You can.
I would lose my shit if my team allowed 33 points in a quarter.
Yeah.
I'm not a jersey burner. I would probably burn a jersey if that happened.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The final game of the week is worth keeping an eye on because Jaden Daniels got hurt, and we don't know. It's Tuesday. There really isn't much reporting on it yet, but it could very well be Marcus Mariota. Bring that up for a couple reasons. It's by Mageddon. You're already missing. There's six quarterbacks that are unavailable completely, and Marcus Mariota he's always serviceable for fantasy if he gets to start. He's like a 20-point locked in, get you some rushing yards, 20, 22 points. So, if waivers run in most leagues tonight, if you're in a pinch for a quarterback and you're like, if you play in a league like some of mine where everybody just rosters 2 and 3 quarterbacks and there's really not much on the waiver for quarterbacks, Mariota is a solid pickup. And especially if you have Jaden Daniels, I feel like you should just roster Mariota anyway. Pretty sure in like all my super flex leagues that I have Jaden, I already roster Mariota for these exact circumstances. It's just a little tougher that it's a Monday night game, and if the injury's not that serious, we'll be getting a bunch of the bullshit all week about, well, we think he might play, but maybe not, and who knows? And then now it's Monday and they announce him out and you're fucked. So Mariota is definitely a good pickup, whether it's to cover your own ass with J-Day or cover a bye, or maybe you're playing the guy that has Jaden Daniels this week, and that's a huge plus for you if you can snag Mariota and keep him away from him, your opponent.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if anything else here really stands out. The Thursday night games, interesting. You got lots of fantasy goodness there.
Yep.
So make sure you get with how many guys that are in this game that are almost locked in as fantasy starters. Make sure you get them in your positional spots. Get them the fuck out of your flexes.
Yep.
At this point, Ladd, QJ, and Keenan Allen are all pretty locked in as starters, especially by Mageddon wise.
Yeah.
And Vidal was a big letdown after the huge game and him being the hot waiver pickup, but he was still the primary back there. It was a weird game script. Again, Herbert threw the ball fucking 55 times. We're not expecting that again. I think this very, very easily could be a big bounce back game for Vidal. Maybe not, in the 20s, but he could easily, if he got 14 to 16 points. I don't think anybody's going to be shocked there. So maybe pump the brakes on freaking out about Vidal, because he's their running back, primary running back until fucking Hampton comes back.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones might be back for the Vikings, and the Chargers have allowed the 13th most points for running backs. Jonathan Taylor ran all over them. It's going to be a good Thursday game. I think it'll be a lot of fantasy goodness. Get your teams off to a good start.
Yeah. Even if Aaron Jones is back, I don't expect much from him. I would expect a big game, if anything, from Jordan Mason. He's looked very good.
Yep.
Well, not very good. He's looked good in a couple games. That he has potential here, but I think give 2 weeks Aaron Jones back, I think it's closer to 50-50 backfield. Mason hasn't solidified that this is going to be my role yet. So, but I'm not starting. Even in Mageddon, I don't know if I'm starting Aaron Jones if he's back on injury Thursday night. I don't think I would.
No, I
You
mean,
might have to.
yeah, I mean, you might be in that bad of a pinch given the circumstances. But if you can avoid starting Jones, I don't think they're just going to throw him back into some heavy workload.
Yeah. That's about it for me. Looking at next week.
Yeah, I don't really see anything else that really jumps out. Keep an eye on the. I heard some talk that the Kellen Moore came out and said they're not 100% sure about quarterback, so maybe they go from Rattler to Shuck. We don't know, nothing official there, but it would potentially suck for Olave. Olave's up to wide receiver 9 on the year points per game wise after the huge game this week. He's been very consistent. Rattler just hyper targets him, so it would be, I can't imagine Shuck would come in and not hyper target him given the rest of what they have going on there. But
yeah,
that would be a downgrade to him. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that J-Day injury. Always keep an eye on injuries, man. Weird shit pops up during the week, and we're getting, we're halfway into the fantasy year, almost halfway into the regular year. So these players are already nicked up and banged up and dealing with nagging shit. So
yeah, the Bucks on a short week that just got trampled by Jahmyr Gibbs. Kendra Miller's out. This could be a massive Alvin Kamara game.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
The one we've been hoping for all season.
Yeah, right.
It's like his 6 touchdown game on Christmas or Christmas Eve or something.
With the one red shoe and the one green shoe, man, I'll never forget that. That was just fucking incredible.
Yep. Awesome,
right, boys. Well,
yeah,
sounds good, man. Usual, just clock it in shy of 2 hours because that's how we roll.
Yeah, thanks for joining us this week, everyone.
Yeah, appreciate it. We will keep you posted, as usual. I'm sure if you're watching this, you follow us on Facebook and on the website, so we'll keep you posted on any injuries, news, updates. Feel free to message the page with any questions, trade deals that you're on the fence about, start sit stuff. So we always got start sit for right before kickoff, leading up to kickoff every Sunday, and stick with us at Fantasy Holics, man. We'll shoot straight.
Yep.
Thanks for hanging in here for 2 hours with us as always. It's a lot of fun. We appreciate it.
Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy.
See you next Tuesday.
See ya.